Hey everyone, my name is Sophie from Sophisticated Organization. Welcome to a new style of video. I have compiled over 3 hours worth of fall content for you. I know it's a little bit early in the season to be thinking about fall, but I do also know that some people like to start decorating early, get a little bit of inspiration, might be over some of the summer heat and looking forward to fall. I love fall, so I'm always looking forward to it. And I'm hoping that this video is something that you can just press play in the background and maybe do some cleaning along with me or some cooking, because this video is jam-packed with all of my fall favorites that I've shared with you. So things like lots and lots of cooking, so many delicious recipes. As I was putting this video together, it made me think about some of these recipes I had made in the past, and I want to go back and make some more this fall. I have DIY crafts and gifts that you can do, lots of cleaning and fall prep and organizing of my coat closet and decor supplies, and then of course lots of fall decorating as well. So it is everything jam-packed into this video. I hope you enjoy the longer style. If you do, and this is a video that you like, make sure to leave me a comment below. Give it a thumbs up so I know that this is something you like. Subscribe to my channel too and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when I post new videos, because I am going to have a lot of new fall content coming soon if that's of interest to you. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy today's video and maybe get something done while you're watching. Video, beyond the cooking and cleaning and decorating, we are going to be doing a fall simmer pot to get a fall scent going through the entire apartment. I'm also going to be baking some apple muffins. I'm not quite ready for pumpkin yet, but I feel like apple is a great transition. And we are going to decorate my kitchen, my living room, my kitchen table, and guest bathroom today. So if you guys are ready, let's jump right into the video. So the first thing that I'm going to do today to make it feel like fall in here is to start a fall simmer pot. And if you've never done a simmer pot before, it's just filling a pot about halfway with water, adding some spices, some fruit, maybe some herbs, and simmering it over the stove to get the scent going throughout your whole home. Now, you don't have to be super accurate with any of the measurements with this simmer pot, so I'm just using a teaspoon measurement just to make sure I don't add way too much, but I'm gonna add vanilla extract and almond extract to the pot. So then I'm just gonna have the peel from an orange and add some apple slices, some cinnamon sticks, and top it off with some whole cloves. Now I'm gonna let this simmer while I start to bake my muffins, but you should know that this simmer pot you can usually keep for about 4 to 5 days. So after I'm done simmering it today, I'm actually just gonna put the top on it and stick it in the fridge overnight and take it out again tomorrow to simmer again. So while the muffins bake, I'm gonna do a little bit of cleaning up. And if you are seeing my pantry right now and you are looking at how beautifully organized it is, I just recently finished organizing it, so I will link in the cards above a link to that video so you can check out my pantry organization if you haven't seen that video yet.
Hey, I wish you could see yourself just sitting there on my chair. I'm staring at you, you don't even notice. Should've told you straight away, you don't have to be afraid anymore. I know you haven't noticed.
now that the countertop is clean, I'm just gonna do some dishes before we can start with the decorating. And for the decorating this year, I'm not going out and buying a bunch of different things, mostly because we're just trying to be conscious of what we're spending, but I'm still living in an apartment and I don't need that much decor, and I don't love the look of having too many things in your space, especially on my kitchen countertops. I like to keep it as clean as possible. So I'm just gonna start with all of the decor that I already have, and then as fall decor starts to come out, I might kind of peek around a little bit and there may be a few extra things that I add.
But I'm afraid, and I know you haven't noticed. You know that I won't let you go. Put your arms around me and I'll let you know how it feels when time goes slow. And I won't let it rush when I see you dance, and the moment comes when I fall and time goes slow. I fall into you.
Look how good those muffins look, and that simmer pot is already starting to smell up the apartment. And with the smell of the muffins on top of it, it is fall in here for sure.
I fall into you.
I've been feeling so small. Watch the
So this little box I keep on my toaster, I really don't use the toaster that often. Of course, whenever I use the toaster, I pull it off just to make sure nothing burns. But this is something from the dollar spot at Target, and it said lemonade on it. And last fall, I wanted a spot to put my pumpkins in and decided to make a cute little vinyl label on the other side that says farm fresh pumpkins, so I can reuse the same decor box for both seasons without having to buy something separate and store multiple items. So I'm just going to take out the lemons and put in the pumpkins, and because I have less pumpkins than I do lemons, I do need to put something in the bottom to kind of stuff it and make it look a little more full. And the pumpkins actually used to be orange, like some of the other pumpkins you'll see that I have, but I just found some craft paint and painted them white because I liked that neutral look better. So don't be afraid to do a little bit of DIY, especially with some of these less expensive items. I really didn't mind if I made a mistake or if it didn't work out. They were so inexpensive to start with that I was willing to experiment.
beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Lay my troubles to rest. Blow the smoke through my cigarette. City lights looking fine. And I know this is my...
So my favorite spot always to decorate is that little corner in my kitchen. It was my favorite spot in my last kitchen as well. But I always like to add a little spot of decor in the kitchen. I spend so much time in there, and I love this grateful sign that I got from Michael's last year. I like the size of it. I like that it kind of takes up a big space, and then adding a little bit of a floral, a candle, and a pumpkin, and then my ring holder, it just kind of completes the look.
Look at these beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at these beautiful stars. I wanna take a trip to Mars. Nothing can break me, no, nothing can break me.
Another favorite of mine is breaking out the seasonal Mrs. Meyer's cleaning products, specifically the hand soap and the dish soap. It's like decor and a cleaning product all in one, and the fall and winter scents are my favorite. The apple cider smells so fresh and clean. I also have the acorn scent, which is definitely more of a deep into fall scent for me. I'm not quite ready for that one in the kitchen, but the apple cider just smells fresh and clean, so it's perfect. Since our space is new to us, I was kind of playing around with the idea of where to put these fall garlands that I have from the dollar spot last year. And I settled on this side of the island because we don't have any chairs on that side. We tried it originally, but it made the hallway a little too narrow. So since we don't have chairs there, it really worked out well to kind of add a little decor and frame the hallway.
Nothing can break me.
Can we work it out? Only time will tell. It's gonna take a lot, 'cause we've been through hell. I can't be without you. I've tried and I failed. So can we work it out? Only time will tell. Why do you keep telling me nothing? But I know all your flaws, at least they say something. Still I try to connect with you through your eyes. Your eyes. What is on your mind? I think it's time to speak. I have crossed the line, but no, not just me. I'm feeling something that goes beyond us. Can we work it out? Only time will tell. It's gonna take a lot, 'cause we've been through hell. I can't be without you. I've tried and I failed. So can we work it out? Yeah. Only time will tell.
I've had nothing in this decorative bowl since we moved in, and I like to try and put something in it to make it a little more decorative. I've been throwing my keys in there because we didn't have a hook by the door, and we just got a hook by the door, so it's time to add a little bit of decor. And these filler pumpkins from Target were perfect there, and I'm using a little bit of the greenery that I had in my lemon crate from the summer to kind of fill it out a little bit. And I might keep my eye out for another fall pick to put in there instead, but for now I think it turned out great and looks really nice. I'm just going to switch out my florals that I had for spring and summer, so they've been in there for quite a while and I'm ready for a change. And these are my fall florals. I just took them from last year and put a hair tie around it so I didn't screw up the arrangement, safely packed it away, and then just slipped it right in. The other spot that I wanted to decorate today was our guest bathroom, and this is a little bit of reality with how I am not the best at decorating, because you will see I try and retry to decorate this space and just can't get it right. The countertop is really small, the towel is in the way, and I think I was dealing with a sign that just didn't fit in the space, and I'm not actually loving that sign, so I think I might part with it and look for something else to put in this bathroom.
I'm feeling something that goes beyond us. Can we work it out? Only time will tell. It's gonna take a lot, 'cause we've been through hell. I can't be without you. I've tried and I failed. So can we work it out? Yeah. Only time will tell. Ooh, only time will tell. Ooh, tell. Ooh.
Searching for something that ain't lost. Have we got it? Our lines crossed. We're wasting time on stuff.
I'm not doing anything fancy on our kitchen table because this is usually where we end up eating all of our meals together. So I do have a little burlap runner that I got from Michael's that I'm going to put on. as well as a pumpkin decoration that actually used to be a candle from TJ Maxx. I played around with this side table a little bit, adding a pumpkin. I tried adding a small sign. I have this little light up farmhouse, and still not sure how I feel about it. I think I like the little pumpkin. It ties into the lamp, but I'm not sure if I need the little house, so I might take that down.
I'm not enough for you, so maybe I should go. If I had known from the start, this wouldn't have ended with broken hearts. 'Cause I don't wanna waste my time. If we don't feel the same way.
Okay guys, that's all I have for you today. The simmer pot is still going back there. If you have not made one of these before, I am seriously recommending it. I stepped out to take out the trash and came back in, and the whole apartment is filled with this warm fall scent. It smells so good in here. We also still have some apple muffins. I already snuck a bite and ate one, and I think my husband's ready to grab one. But if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up so I know that it's something you enjoy. I might do a little more decorating around the apartment, in my bedroom, my office, maybe our bathroom. And of course, in future seasons, if you guys like this, I can do more videos like this. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, hit that notification bell, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Hey everyone, my name is Sophie from Sophisticated Organization. Welcome back to my channel. I am really excited because in today's video, we are going to be making some fall breakfast together. The first recipe that we're starting with is a spiced apple tea latte. Then I'm just gonna add 1 tablespoon of black tea. This is Earl Grey, but you can use any black tea that you want. Then I have a pinch of cinnamon, a pinch of nutmeg, and a pinch of cloves all together. And then you add your apple. Now you don't have to have a milk frother, but if you do, it's a nice added touch to froth everything up and really give it the coffee house vibe. Next up, we're gonna make baked apple cider donuts. I have my oven preheating to 350 degrees. I've already put a cup and 3/4 of flour in my bowl, and I'm just gonna add in the other dry ingredients. I'm adding 1 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder, 3/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. Now I'm just gonna add in 10 tablespoons of butter, three-quarters of a cup brown sugar, and 1/4 cup of regular sugar. teaspoon of vanilla extract and 2 eggs. Now comes the difficult for me, which was putting all of the batter into a piping bag. I know that a great way to do this is to put your piping bag into a glass container. I really didn't have any glass containers that would work really well. All of our normal daily glasses are pretty narrow and tall. I wanted something with a little bit of a wider mouth. So I just decided to do it by hand, and it was a struggle. I have a whole cake decorating kit that I got from Amazon, so I will link that in the description box below. That's where this reusable piping bag came from. And I also ordered my donut tins from Amazon as well.
Can't take my eyes off, can't take my eyes off, can't take my eyes off, can't take my eyes off. You got this motion, dance in slow motion. My eyes can't help looking at you right.
These donuts were super good, but if you don't have donut tins, the recipe actually does mention that you can just use your regular cupcake or muffin tin, and they do have kind of a muffiny taste to them, so that would work great. I would really recommend making them, but it is kind of fun to put them in the donut shape.
We almost touch. I feel your body move my way, you're close enough. So I say, can't take my eyes on you. You were all I see. Can't take my eyes on you. You know what I mean. Can't take my eyes on you.
Once the donuts have had a chance to cool a little bit, you'll take 2 separate dishes, one with melted butter and one with cinnamon sugar. You just brush on the melted butter on top of each donut, make sure to cover the whole surface, and then dip it into the cinnamon sugar mixture.
You make my heart burn. It's like I'm awake inside of a dream. You're getting closer, night's almost over. I might just ask you to leave now with me. Can't get enough. I try my best to look away, but I can't stop. Am I afraid to you? We almost touch. I feel your body move my way, you're close enough. So I say, can't take my eyes on you. You were all I see. Can't take my eyes on you. You know what I mean. Can't take my eyes on you. You were all I see. Can't take my eyes on you. Take my eyes on you. Yeah. Can't take my eyes off. 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 Can't take my eyes on you. You were all I see. Can't take my eyes off.
Okay, this one I have to try.
Can't take my eyes on you. You are all I see. Can't take my eyes off.
Wow,
Take my eyes off you. Yeah.
that's good.
Can't take my eyes off. Can't take my eyes off. Can't take my eyes off.
Next up is a sausage apple breakfast casserole. So I'm just gonna get things cooking in the skillet and then start to prepare the casserole while that cooks. Into the skillet, I'm just gonna add 16 ounces of turkey sausage. You can really use any sausage you want. I just don't really eat pork that often, so I'm going with turkey sausage. 2 peeled and chopped apples. Half a cup of onion. And I'm gonna top with sage, salt, and pepper. Now, I will say I was a little suspicious the first time I made this recipe that it had apples in it, but it adds a really nice sweetness. My husband didn't even notice that they were apples. He thought they were potatoes after it was cooked. So I thought it had a little sweetness to it, but it's really not something that sticks out as a fruit with your eggs. And plus, that combination of apple with cheddar I really like. So this is a breakfast casserole that we will make time and time again. After you have your bread distributed through the bottom of the casserole dish, you're going to add your sausage and apple mixture, top with some cheddar cheese, 6 eggs, and 6 tablespoons of cream, and then add salt and pepper. When you pour it into the dish, it will seep through all of the cracks, and then it's going to expand as you cook it and rise and cover all of the crevices. So it will fill up everything and taste like a beautiful egg dish. Into my stand mixer, I'm gonna add 1 1/4 cups of oats, 1/4 cup ground flaxseed, a tablespoon of chia seeds, 1 1/2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1/8 teaspoon of cloves. Then I'm just gonna add a little bit of sea salt and blend it up. Then I'm just gonna add all of my wet ingredients. So it's 1/2 cup of almond butter, and this is actually almond butter that I made from scratch using my Vitamix blender. Then you add 1/4 cup of honey, 1/4 cup of pumpkin, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And blend it up again. If you're looking for a recipe that just tastes like fall, these pumpkin energy balls honestly are it. They are so good. I wish I would have made a double batch because we powered through those things so quickly. My husband loved them too, and they're something that I'm for sure going to make again. So that is all for today's video. Look how good that spread looks behind me. I can't wait to dig in. I know Jim is excited too. So if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Today's video is going to be a fall meal prep. I'm making 2 different dinners as well as a third meal that's actually a freezer meal. And then we're gonna top it all off with dessert because I'm making cupcakes. So if you guys are ready for the cooking, let's jump right into it. So the first thing we're gonna start off with is the butternut squash filling, and you're just gonna add 2 cups of butternut squash to a food processor. It should already be cooked and pureed. Then 1 cup of ricotta cheese, a cup of milk, and a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So to the spinach mixture, I'm gonna add a cup of ricotta, a cup of mozzarella, 2 cloves of garlic, and some salt and pepper. Okay, so the way you're gonna do the filling is you're gonna start with the butternut squash mixture, and you're gonna do a layer of butternut squash, mozzarella, noodles. Then move to the spinach mixture, go spinach, mozzarella, noodles, then back butternut squash, mozzarella, noodles, spinach, and keep going till you get to the top. You're gonna finish with the butternut squash layer, add some mozzarella, parm, and spices, and you're done. So here we go. You'll see I kind of alternated the way that I was laying the noodles, vertical versus horizontal. And near the top couple of layers, I did run out of noodles. And I don't know if it's because of the direction that I laid them, but for some reason, every time I make lasagna, it's never quite perfect, but that's totally fine. I'm gonna show you how incredibly easy this chicken wild rice soup freezer meal is. I'm just gonna start by labeling the freezer bag first. That's something I always do whenever I'm making a freezer meal so you don't forget what it is and you know all of the cooking instructions right on the Ziploc. And then I'm gonna start to fill it up with everything, stick it in the freezer, and it's ready to go. So I'm gonna label it. So now that I've added about a pound of chicken breast, I'm gonna add in the rest of the ingredients. So you need about 3 cups of chopped carrots, chopped onions, and chopped celery. Eight ounces of mushrooms. A cup of wild rice. Teaspoon of salt, 3 cloves of garlic, and then a teaspoon of mixed seasoning. You can do sage, thyme, rosemary, any combination of the 3. And finally, 4 cups of chicken or vegetable stock. And that's it. For this next meal, I decided to go nice and easy with a sheet pan meal, and I wanted to do sweet potatoes because for some reason those always make me think of fall, and I'm gonna toss in some Brussels sprouts as well. And the lemon tahini dressing that you'll see me make in a little bit is a great way to add a little bit of light, bright flavor with all of that lemon. I'm just cubing my sweet potatoes, and then I'm going to slice my Brussels sprouts by just cutting off the ends and then cutting them in quarters or halves depending on how large they are. Now this could really be a great side for any meal that you want to make, but I decided to do both salmon and some chicken thighs just to show you that you can pair it with multiple different things. I'm giving everything a good drizzle with olive oil. Then I'm just gonna add some garlic powder and paprika to the salmon and chicken. Cover everything with some salt, pepper, and then parsley. Now it's time for the tahini sauce. You are going to add to your bowl half a cup of tahini, the juice of 1 lemon, some parsley, and some garlic. Add in your olive oil and salt and mix together. And keep in mind that it will be pretty thick, so you're going to want to add a little bit of water to thin it out. So to start these pumpkin ginger cupcakes, I'm just gonna add my butter and sugars and cream them together, followed by eggs and a can of pumpkin. So we're gonna do 1 cup of regular white granulated sugar, a cup of brown sugar, and a cup of butter. So now I'm just going to add in some of the dry ingredients. I have a tablespoon of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I have a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves, 1/2 teaspoon of ginger, and 1/2 teaspoon of allspice. Then I'm going to add in butterscotch pudding mix and 1/3 cup of crystallized ginger. Now that that's kind of combined, I'm going to add 2 cups of flour slowly to the mixture. I decided to go with orange cupcake liners because why not when you're making pumpkin ginger cupcakes? So I'm just going to scrape everything off of the beater attachment that I can and just use a measuring cup to try and fill up all of the paper liners as evenly as I can. I would like to get a cookie scoop. I know it makes it so much easier. So that is definitely on my list of cooking gadgets that I would like to have. Let me know in the comments below if you guys make cupcakes or muffins ever. Have you ever flawlessly executed it without getting any on the outside of the muffin tin? Because I always leave some glob at some point somewhere on the muffin tray. time for the frosting, and for this frosting, all you're gonna do is cream your butter with some vanilla, a little bit of milk, and powdered sugar. And you can see me just making a mess all over with the powdered sugar. You definitely could stop your mixer and that would prevent some of the mess that I'm making, but I was in a groove and just moving along. When the cupcakes are done, make sure that you let them cool. If you ever put frosting on the top of a cake or a cupcake when it's still warm, you'll see it just completely melts. So I'm gonna use a piping bag with a little tip on it, and I want it to keep that pretty design. So I want to make sure that it's cool and doesn't melt that frosting. So what I love about these piping bags and all of the different tips that I have on them is that in the middle of the frosting process, if I'm not liking what the tip is looking like, I can just unscrew it, screw on a different tip, and completely change the look of the frosting I'm putting on top of the cupcake. And I really was not liking the first tip that I used. It was way too small and was really honestly hard for me to get that frosting out and look pretty. So I found a tip that was just a little bit bigger and it went much faster and looked the way I wanted it to. The original recipe in the image had a little bit of crystallized ginger on top of the cupcakes, which I think would look really nice there. And I like the taste of crystallized ginger. Of course, there's that crystallized ginger in the inside, so it would be a great topping, but I ran out. I used the entire thing in the cupcake. So I am just gonna sprinkle on a little bit of pumpkin pie spice. So that is it for my fall meal prep. Everything looks so good. I have my freezer meal waiting for another time that I want an easy dinner, something nice and cozy. I can just stick it in the crock pot. But for now, I have quite a bit of food prepped. We have some delicious cupcakes. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Hit that notification bell. And until next time, I will see you guys later. In today's video, we are going to be making DIY fall and Halloween gift bags for some of my friends. Now, I'm really excited for this video. It's actually one of the reasons I started my YouTube channel, was so that I had a platform to share these types of things. So around every holiday, my friends and I get together, and I always like to make little goodie or treat bags with some DIY gifts. It's a great way just to kind of thank my friends and also for me to get a little creative and to make some goodies for them. So today we are going to be doing 2 different treat bags and 4 different DIY gifts. If you guys are ready, let's jump right into it because I'm so excited for what I have planned today. The first gift we're starting with is an apple cinnamon sugar scrub. Now this recipe is super simple. I decided to triple it so I would have enough for all of my friends. So I added 2 1/4 cups of light brown sugar as well as 2 1/4 cups of regular granulated sugar. Next, I added in 3 teaspoons of cinnamon and gave it a good mix. Once everything's combined, I added 1.5 cups of melted coconut oil, mixed it up one more time, and I'm adding in my fragrance. I'm using 45 drops of apple cider fragrance as well as 30 drops of cinnamon fragrance. I'm going to leave in the description box below a link to the essential oil box that I purchased to make these gifts. I actually end up using a few of the other scents in some of these other gifts as well. It's a perfect pack of fall essential oils, so it does contain that apple cider fragrance and the cinnamon fragrance in the same pack. Then you just mix it all up together and you can start putting it in the containers of your choice. It's seriously such an easy gift for your friends, and I have gotten so many comments from friends that I've made different types of body scrubs for in the past about how moisturizing these are and how nice it is to have a homemade bath product. Over the summer, I made a few lavender body scrubs. In the past, I've made a hot chocolate body scrub for the winter holidays, which was a big hit. Done a coffee scrub before, but this one I can just smell the fragrance wafting through the apartment and it smells so good. And I did keep one for myself and I've already tried it, and this one I love. So definitely try this recipe if you're going to look at trying any of them. The thing about homemade gifts is that you really want it to be something that people are actually going to use and enjoy. So often people make homemade gifts and they're things that just end up getting tossed in the trash. So I really strive to find gifts that people will enjoy and use.
Summer is ended, the leaves are turning brown. Red and yellow, soon.
I just bought a pack of circular Avery labels to put on top here, and I went to the Avery website and they had this cute little template with this fall wreath. So I just added the apple cinnamon sugar scrub to the text of it and printed out a bunch of labels, and it was so simple to do. And you guys know me, a label is always a perfect finishing touch for me, and they really just complete the gift.
Autumn comes too soon. Autumn comes too soon.
Next up is our pumpkin spice bath bomb recipe. Now this one's a classic. Who doesn't love a good old PSL in the fall? So that's what I decided to make, is a pumpkin spice scented bath bomb. I was actually quite impressed with this recipe. This is another one I've tested out of myself. I took a bath the other night and popped one of these in the bath and it fizzed perfectly. Not all bath bomb recipes work great, but this one definitely did. Again, I increased the size of this recipe. I tripled it. So I did 3 cups of baking soda, 1.5 cups of citric acid, 1 cup of cornstarch, 3/4 of a cup Epsom salts, 3 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, and mixed it all together.
Autumn comes too soon. I'm not ready for autumn. Autumn comes too soon.
After that, I added 60 drops of pumpkin pie fragrance. This is another scent that was a part of that essential oil pack that I got from Amazon. And then added in my 3 tablespoons of melted coconut oil, followed by some orange food coloring. Make sure to be careful when you're adding your liquids, so your fragrance and your coconut oil, just because, of course, they're bath bombs. So when you add in liquid, you want to make sure that the citric acid doesn't react and start fizzing. So evenly distribute it, and I would mix it together as quickly as you can. Once you've mixed in the liquid ingredients, if the recipe isn't really holding together, you can add a little bit of water to help it bind. When the mixture's done, I'm just using regular circle bath bomb molds. You could use any shape you want. I'm sure you could find something super fun on Amazon and get a pumpkin shape, or maybe even a coffee cup shape, something like that. Could be really cute with the pumpkin spice. But I just went for circular, so I fill up each side of the mold nice and full. Try and move it around a little bit just to make sure it's gonna pop out nicely once you get the two halves together. But once you do that, fill them a little bit over the halfway mark so that there's enough to connect the two halves together. Squish them together, give them a nice little twist, and you should be able to pull them apart and pop the bath bomb right out.
Well, I scratched in the dirt for a while. I gained all that I knew for a price. In the end, what I found was nowhere near as nice. No matter.
This process does take a while, but I love crafting. I love doing DIYs. So this is honestly fun time for me. I was watching something on my iPad in front of me on Netflix, so I was enjoying this time.
Don't turn off the light, I'm coming home. Though I fought with my claws and teeth, though I elbowed my way to a seat, there be no kind of peace like you beside me. No matter the rain, no matter the storm, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Leave open the gate, don't turn off the light, I'm coming home. I'm coming home.
Finally, I do put them in little vacuum seal bags. They're not as perfect as you would get in the store, but that's okay. They're homemade. So I just use a hairdryer to kind of shrink wrap the plastic around it. And that's actually what the instructions recommend, is just using a hairdryer. And it sucks all of the air out and keeps them fresh. And when you cut them open, they're still gonna smell like that beautiful pumpkin pie smell. Next up, we're making homemade vanilla extract, and this is a great gift to make far in advance, so if you're a planner, this one works out for you. If not, no worries. This one's definitely the easiest recipe, so all you're going to do is take your vanilla beans, slice them in half. I tried to pull them apart a little bit to kind of get that fragrance out and let them absorb in the bottle as much as possible. Once you have about 5 beans in each bottle, you're going to add in vodka and fill it up to the top. The ratio should be about 5 to 6 vanilla beans per cup of vodka. You can also play around with some different flavors. You could try adding bourbon, brandy, or even rum. There are a couple of reasons I recommend making these in advance, and the first one is that the vanilla flavor needs some time to develop. So you're going to want to store these in a cool, dry place out of direct sunlight. Think something like a pantry for a minimum of 8 weeks before you use it. 6 months to a year is definitely preferable if you have that amount of time. But the other reason to make these in advance is you can actually remove the vanilla beans before you give them as a gift and reuse them to make a whole nother bottle of vanilla extract. So this ends up being a really economical way of making your own vanilla extract. So even if you choose not to give these as gifts, you may want to start making your own vanilla extract at home after seeing how simple it is and how much money you can save.
The train just left this town while I'm slowly heading back to my apartment. I'm not asking for your thoughts, I'm just thinking out loud in the darkness.
Once again, I am adding a sophisticated touch to this gift by making some custom labels that say vanilla extract in one of my favorite pantry fonts. But if you don't feel like making custom labels or purchasing custom labels, you can always put a cute little gift tag on here, possibly with instructions if you choose to leave the vanilla beans in there, letting the recipient know they can remove the beans and create a new bottle when this one's done.
I can see the dawn is coming just for you, for you, for
The last gift that I'm making is a fall popcorn party mix. And when you talk about DIY gifts that people are actually going to like and use, who doesn't love some caramel corn, pretzels, chocolate, and all of that stuff mixed together? So I started by popping some popcorn and making a homemade caramel sauce.
going in my direction, still I can't ignore the pain.
This caramel sauce was just butter, light brown sugar, vanilla extract, and baking soda. I slowly drizzled the caramel over the popcorn, gave it a good mix, and poured it over some tin foil to let it dry and harden before I added the rest of the goodies.
I can see the dawn is coming just for you. Someone said you're
Make this whatever you want, but I chose to add mini pretzels, roasted and salted peanuts, Reese's Pieces, Reese's peanut butter cup minis, and then a mixed bag of caramel corn that have the little pumpkins in it because I thought that was just super cute.
It's just for you. Oh, it's just for you. For you.
I have some spiderweb treat bags left over from gifts that I made last year, so this is perfect for the popcorn. So I'm going to fill up a few bags and then tie it off. With all of the gifts made, I do like to make decorative gift bags to put them in. You don't have to give every single one of these gifts. You could easily just do the body scrub and toss it in a gift bag with some chocolate or something like that. You could do a combination of a couple of these, another gift that you might have in mind. But I'm doing two different types of gift bags. One is a little more Halloween themed and one's a little more fall themed. So I'm starting with the Halloween themed gift bag and just printed out some ghost outlines from Google. I cut them out and now I am gluing them on to the black gift bags and going to punch a star-shaped hole so I can tie a ribbon at the top. For the second gift bag, I'm going with a pumpkin theme. I printed again from Google some images of pumpkin faces just to give me some inspiration and ideas. And I'm just freehanding it and copying some of these designs.
Deep and abiding, liking for you is all I need. Until my heart gives in, I will do everything I can for you.
I had a few sparkly green pipe cleaners that are just perfect for this. You could also use some green ribbon and curl it the same way I did with the ghost gift bags and tie that at the top, but the pipe cleaners were really fun, so I wrapped them around my Sharpie to give them a nice springy look and tied them onto the top of the gift bags. Okay guys, that is all I have for you today. I think these goodie bags turned out so adorable. I love the smells of that sugar scrub. The bath bomb smells so good. I definitely snuck some bites of my caramel corn, and that vanilla extract is gonna be so great for the holidays. As everyone starts baking more, it is gonna be perfect timing for it. So if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and until next time, I will see you guys later. In today's video, I'm going to go through all of my seasonal decor, do a little bit of decluttering, undecorate from spring and summer, and get some fall decor up, but just a little bit. And I'm also going to bake some pumpkin chocolate chip muffins. Now, I know it's a little bit early for fall, but I'm totally feeling it, and I'm not staying in this apartment that much longer. So I wanted to do a little bit of decorating before I have to pack everything up and move. So if you guys are ready for the decluttering, the decor, and the baking, and all of the fall things, then stay tuned because here we go. Before I did anything else, I wanted to pull out all of the decor from each of the sections that I had, go through it, see if there's anything that I could declutter because it's something maybe I don't like that much. Or with moving from an apartment to a house, I do think some of the decor that I use is probably going to change. Being in an apartment, I've had a lot of small little knick-knacky pieces. I think when I move to a house, I'm going to want some larger items to kind of fill that space a little bit more. I'm sure I can still find uses for some of the small things in little tiered trays or something like that, but I want to go through and make sure everything is something I want to keep before I take the time to pack it up and take the space to actually move it. I have all of these zipper pouches that I was keeping smaller items in. These are the same zipper pouches I use for my board games that I've shared before. And I thought about labeling these. I've kind of debated back and forth. I'm still going to hold off. And the reason is because I reuse these from season to season. So For example, when I pull out my winter stuff and pull out the little greenery there, I'll then put my fall greenery back in the old zipper pouch that it was for the winter. So I don't have dedicated ones for each and every item. It saves a tiny bit of money reusing things that way, but I do miss labeling it. I'm sure I'm going to do an overhaul of the way I store decor. This was just kind of a temporary solution since I had these drop front sweater boxes. And as my decor collection potentially grows with a lot more space, I might use larger tubs and store them in our basement or something like that. But for now, we're just going to go through it, make sure I'm keeping what I want. And then, of course, I'll have to package some of it up so that I can transport it easier without any of it breaking. So I'll have to wrap up the delicate items.
For you, so maybe I should go. If I had known from the start, this wouldn't have ended with broken hearts. 'Cause I don't want to waste my time. No. I don't want to waste my time.
For the fall stuff, I'm just going to pull it all out, put it on my kitchen table so I can decide what I want to use this year. Again, I'm not going to totally decorate for fall. I'm thinking just the kitchen area, but we'll see. And then I had a separate spot for Halloween. You'll see this cute little headband my mom made when I was dressed up as a flamingo for work one year, which I absolutely love. I don't think I can get rid of it. She worked really hard on it. And if I ever have a costume party come up, it's really easy. I just wear all pink, stand on one leg, and toss on that headband. The last box should most accurately say spring/summer. I don't really have separate decor for spring and summer, so I'm going to pull out what's in there, go look at the spring decor that I have out, which is not a ton, and pull it off, and I will put that away in a minute. Anytime I undecorate a space, I like to fully undecorate first and give it a good wipe down to make sure everything's nice and clean before I go add more items to that space and clutter it up and have blocked surfaces that I can't clean as easily. I'm also going to pack up this bubble up dish brush that I had been using for spring and summer. I'm going to stick it in the dishwasher so it's nice and clean before I pack it, but I do have leftover fall Mrs. Meyer scents, so I'm going to use those and use that dish soap. And rather than pouring it in the bubble up dish brush, I'm actually just going to leave it out on the countertop because I like the look that the soap brings. It's almost like decor in itself. So here are all of my fall pieces. I'm going to go through them and try and figure out what I want to decorate with. And because I've decorated for fall already in this apartment, I do have kind of a good idea of what I want in the kitchen. So I'm just going to grab those things and bring them right over to my favorite spot to decorate, this little corner of the kitchen. I'm in the kitchen all the time, so I like having decor in the kitchen the most. And this little spot doesn't get a ton of use. I'm not using it for food prep or anything, so it's really easy to put decor there and it doesn't get in the way. I also have this little crate from the Target dollar spot that says lemonade on one side, and then I used my Cricut on the other side to add a label that says farm fresh hand-picked pumpkins. So I'm just going to switch out the lemons, put it in these pumpkins that were also from the dollar spot that I painted white, and add the greenery back in and stick it on top of the toaster. I have had somebody leave a comment before letting me know that I shouldn't put anything on top of my toaster. Don't worry, we don't use it often. Before I use the toaster, I do make sure I take off the wooden crate. I do not want to start any apartment fires.
Autumn comes too soon. Autumn comes too soon. The light that flickers will blow away the sight. And all that
You'll see exactly what I was talking about before. I had pumpkins in here, pulled the pumpkins out, and then I'm putting the lemons back in and using the same storage bag. So I'm going to take the wreath out from this bowl and just add all of the pumpkins around that little cake stand and kind of play around with the look and see how I like it. And I did decide the candle was too high up with the mini cake stand, so I took that out, put the candle back in, and actually did mess up those pumpkins a little bit because I like the look of them just scattered about as opposed to perfectly organized.
ready for autumn. Autumn comes too soon. Autumn comes too soon.
Now that I have a little bit of decor out, I have to bake something fall themed. So I'm going to make some pumpkin oat muffins. And this is the first time I've ever made a blender muffin. So exclusively mixing everything in the blender. And it was actually quite convenient. I'm not sure if there are other recipes that I could probably use this method, but it was helpful because you do start with oats and put them in the blender and turn them into oat flour basically. So I needed to use the blender to do that, but it was nice that I didn't have to dirty up any other bowls or appliances or things like that. So I'm leaving all of the ingredients on the screen here if you are interested in making these muffins. I started with 1.5 cups of rolled oats, a teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, a 1/4 teaspoon baking soda, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, blended that all together, and then I added in my eggs. I just did 2 eggs, 1 cup of pumpkin puree, 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of grapeseed oil, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and blended it up one more time. So that's actually the recipe for one batch, and I did double it. So I did double of all of that. And then once it was all blended up, and I did need that tamper, which helps push down all of the ingredients to really get it going. Once it was going, it blended up really nicely, and I took it off the blender and added in some mini chocolate chips. So for the single batch, you'll add 1/3 of a cup of mini chocolate chips. But again, since I doubled it, I did closer to 2/3 of a cup, or maybe even closer to a cup.
You grew old in suburbia, where pretty demons never show, shifting shapes in millennia. But you're okay. I don't have the pieces of your home buried in the flashbacks.
When I pulled out my cupcake liners this morning, I actually only had just a couple of orange cupcake liners left, which clearly indicates that I like to bake a lot in the fall. I'm sure that's when I'm using the orange color the most. So I used some of my yellow ones as well. Definitely not a time for me to go out and buy new cupcake liners. I want to use what I have and move with less. So yellow worked just fine.
Monsters come on. I've got you.
So now I need to finish putting away the spring decor that I had out, as well as the fall decor that I didn't use. The items I'm leaving behind on the floor are the ones that I think I'm ready to declutter. Just a couple of small pumpkins, some picture frames that I need to move to a different spot, a teal cake stand I don't think I really need anymore, and then some candy canes that I'm just going to repurchase when we get to our new place when the time comes, probably in December or so. I've had those candy canes for years and just use them as decor, and most of them are broken anyway. The muffins are cool, so I'm pulling them out of the muffin tray, sticking them on our little cake stand, and of course I have to give one of them a try just to make sure they're okay. Thanks for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed and you got a little bit of inspiration, even if you're not quite ready for fall. I need to go finish up my pumpkin muffin, but I love the little touch of fall I did in here, even though it's not throughout the entire apartment. It'll be just enough to get me through. So if you liked today's video, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Today's video is going to be another sophisticated Saturday, and if you've been here before, you know exactly what that means. Together, we are going to work through my to-do list and get things done. Now, today's video is going to be all cleaning motivation. So this is going to be a fall cleaning, get it all done with me. As you can see behind me, our bedroom is a disaster. My husband, Jim, has been in a golf tournament all weekend, so he's been up really early, getting back really late, so I've done some laundry. He hasn't had the time to fold his. I have some of my clothing on the bed, gotta wash the sheets, a lot of stuff to get done. So I'm going to sneak in a few little fall goodies throughout this video, and I'm gonna start with making myself some coffee, and we are going to jump right into this cleaning. So let's go make my coffee. The coffee that I'm using today is a decaf. This is my second cup of coffee for the day, but it's the pumpkin spice from Good & Gather. It's the Target brand, and I'm quite impressed with it. It tastes delicious. I'm not a huge pumpkin spice latte fan, but I really do love the fall spice flavors of this coffee. So I'm gonna add in my favorite oat milk to my milk frother, froth that up, and then top off the pumpkin spice coffee with that frothed oat milk and then some pumpkin pie spice to make it extra special. Sticking with the fall theme, I'm gonna make it smell like fall in here. So I have my Harvest Spice essential oils that I'm gonna add to my diffuser in the bedroom. And oh my gosh, this is a task. It's usually not this messy in here, but somebody's gotta clean it up. And so today, that's me. I'm just gonna work around the mess, get the sheets off the bed, and get them into the washing machine. That's always step one, so I can multitask and let them wash while I continue to do other things around the house. You'll see I already have some of my cleaning cloths that I washed earlier today, and they're already tumbling in the dryer. So I did get a little bit of a jump start this morning on things. Back to the kitchen. I'm going to clean up the coffee mess that I made and start to clean everything else up in the kitchen. I like starting in the kitchen for some reason. Let me know in the comments below where you like starting, what makes you feel like things are clean in your home. But the kitchen for me, if things are messy, everything feels messy. So I want to get that clean first to feel like I've accomplished something, and then later we'll go back to the bedroom and tackle that mess. You'll see I'm grabbing my little orange razor blade just to get off things that are kind of stuck on the countertop or on the cooktop that I couldn't get off with my microfiber cloth and cleaning spray. And then I'm just going to wipe it down one more time to get off any of that left on gunk. Oh my gosh, when I moved my Keurig, there was this gross stuff that was left under it. Honestly, it didn't really smell that great. I have no idea what it was. I had that mint plant there that wasn't doing very well. I thought maybe that kind of smelled a little bit, but it was obviously that gross gunk that was under the Keurig. So thank goodness I scooted that over and could get rid of that and make it nice and clean, because I couldn't figure out what that smell was for a while.
I don't really need a new friend, so spend your time with me. Looking for someone who can play though, wanna hang with me. I'm not really looking for a friend, so
I just have a mess of stuff on the countertop. I had my mascara from earlier. I had nail polish remover in the kitchen. Just so many things that didn't belong in there. So I gotta clear it off and then wipe it down.
not asking for much, but it feels like the two of us are golden or gold. You see, we'll do you good, so take a chance on me. It's magical when you are close, so get closer, babe. We'll do you good, 'cause I am golden, I'm golden. You're not really looking for a friend, so
Keeping with the fall mood, you've got to light those candles, and then it's time to empty the dishwasher.
free. Won't cost a thing, so it's yours or the try. Oh, this is the real thing. I'm down if you're down, boy. Get next to me, get next to me. All that I want is to get next to you, get next to you. Not asking for much, but it feels like the two of us are golden or gold. You see, we'll do you good, so take a chance on me. It's magical when you are close, so get closer, babe. We'll do you good, 'cause I am golden, I'm golden.
If you guys are interested, as you're seeing me put some of my dishes away, as I'm opening cupboards and cabinets, I actually did a full tour of my organized kitchen. If you haven't seen that before, I will leave in the cards above a link to that video if you want to see inside every single drawer and cabinet. It's kind of interesting if you're nosy and want some organizing inspiration as well.
Gold, you see, we'll do you good, so take a chance on me. It's magical when you are close, so get closer, babe. We'll do you good, 'cause I am golden, I'm golden. Feels like the two of us are golden or gold. You see, we'll do you good, so take a chance on me. It's magical when you are close, so get closer, babe. We'll do you good, 'cause I am gold, I'm golden.
So I did want to ask you guys, especially those of you that come back over and over again, I love seeing the same names and faces in the comments below. It makes my day to start building this community and making connections with you guys. But as I'm approaching 6 months on YouTube, I'm curious from you what types of videos you're loving seeing from me. Are you liking these get it all done type videos where sometimes I do some cleaning, other tasks around the house, maybe some cooking videos? Do you like the DIY videos I do? Organizing, decluttering, organized home tours, really anything. I'd love to hear from you. What makes you come to my channel and what makes you stick around?
Yeah, I'm on my way now.
So I'm doing my sink scrub, but making it a fall-themed sink scrub. So usually with my baking soda, I add essential oils and then dish soap. So I'm using my Fall Harvest essential oil with my Acorn Spice Mrs. Meyer's dish soap and keeping with that fall theme.
I'll be going away for a while. Oh, and I don't know what I'll find. Maybe I can be a rock star, playing songs on my guitar. I know I have to be somewhere else to be able to find myself. Shouldn't be so complicated. If I listen to my heart, I'm gonna leave it all behind. Find myself, I'm gonna start over new. Yeah, I'm on my way now.
So I don't wash my duvet cover as often as I wash my sheets. So this is one of the times that it was time for me to wash the duvet cover. So we're cleaning the entire bed, all of the bedding. I'm gonna switch my sheets over and then toss that duvet cover into the washing machine. All my cleaning cloths are done. I keep them in this divided bin from the Container Store and then store that under my sink. I have one side for microfiber cloths and one side for my dish towels. I'm gonna store them in rainbow order. That just makes me happy. So I like looking at it that way, and fold everything basically in thirds for the microfiber cloths and then in fourths usually to fit for the dish towels. But I always stick with that Marie Kondo file folding method where everything's stored vertically so I can see it and pull things out without disturbing the other cloths to dig under for something.
I'm feeling you could be the one. I see no reason.
And look how pretty that final product looks. I love how neat and tidy it is. I just left two of them out, one so I can put a cloth on our dishwasher and one so I could put a cloth on our oven.
I can't get enough of this feeling you're giving me.
Next up on the list is to give the floors a good vacuum. Of course, with all of the cooking and baking I do, I tend to make a little bit of a mess in the kitchen, so it's nice for me to relatively frequently just give it a quick vacuum and get up all of those crumbs. The bathroom looks like everywhere else in the apartment. Some of the things that were from the kitchen island I just stuck in here, but you can still see it's a little bit of a mess, more than it usually is. My husband had a few things there. I had a few things there. So I'm going to pick everything up and then wipe it down. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine to have things on surfaces. It's one of the things I try and do every single day is to clear off all of the surfaces. Your home feels so much cleaner if you can have that as a part of your daily to-do list. It's just to clean up the surfaces, give them a good wipe down, clean everything up off of the floor. I know those are both really hard because those are the places we want to put our clutter. It's where clutter breeds, is the floor and surfaces. So keep those on your daily to-do list and your home is going to feel so much cleaner.
Without you, baby, without
I had some clothing I needed to put in the laundry. This is the unit where we keep all of our laundry pre-sorted in the closet. So I'm going to put that away and then head back to our laundry area and grab my sheets and start making the first layer of the bed.
You got me wrapped around your finger. Tell me what you wanna do. I think we're part of something bigger, and now my mind is filled with you. Oh, you know, oh, you know, oh, you know. Oh, you know, oh, you know, oh, you know. Baby, without I wouldn't know what to. Baby, without you I wouldn't know what to. Oh, you know, oh, you know, oh, you know. Baby, without I wouldn't know what to do. Baby, without
Feels good to get that last load in the dryer. It's just the duvet cover. It usually takes kind of a while for it to dry. It absorbs a ton of water. It's just big and bulky. So while that dries, I'm going to fold all of the laundry that both me and my husband had. So I'm going to start with my husband's stuff and first sort it by category and then start to fold each category. If you guys go back and watch some of the first videos from when I moved in with my husband in July when we got married, you'll see that there were a couple of videos where I was trying to figure out how to fold his laundry and try to match the way that he folds things. Oh, how times have changed in just a few short months. I just quickly fold them. I've kind of learned a little bit how he folds them, but mostly don't worry about it too much. For the most part, he does do all of his own laundry and folds his own clothing, of course, but he was in a golf tournament this weekend, so he didn't have a ton of time. He was golfing for 3 days straight, so he was leaving super early in the morning and coming back super late at night, completely exhausted. So this was just something nice that I wanted to do for him and fold his laundry so it wasn't something he had to worry about. I don't want to make it seem like I just did this out of the kindness of my heart. I also was kind of annoyed and didn't want to have a pile of clean clothing just sitting there getting all wrinkly. So for my own benefit and liking having a clean living space, that was probably another reason that I folded his clothing.
Oh God, have I lost it? But my cravings for you so shameless, can't get enough. I've lost you, but I need you. And you're off my radar now. I've lost you, telling you that I need you, but you're off my radar now. I'm like an outcast from pillar to post. There's no denial, I'm chasing ghosts.
Usually while I film videos or while I'm folding laundry, things like that, I like to watch shows on Netflix. And recently, I feel like I haven't found a new show that I could really get into or binge watch. So if you guys know of a show that especially has multiple seasons out that you absolutely love on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime, I have that as well. Let me know, leave a comment below because I'm always looking for a new binge-worthy show, especially one that I don't have to pay a ton of attention to. I don't love having to look at the screen for things that are really complicated, but shows that can kind of play in the background are perfect for me.
I've lost you. I keep on looking for you.
Talk to me, baby, I've been waiting for a lifetime. Just keep on fading in all these photos. Caught in the middle.
Finally, I have that duvet cover back in the duvet, shaking it out. It's so much work, but it feels awesome to have a fully clean bed with the fresh sheets, the fresh duvet cover. I know I get a better night's sleep when I have those fresh sheets.
Giving in to all my demons lately. You know, might be easier just to let it go. Cut the cable short and the problem solved. Might be easier for you. I do it all.
The finishing touch is to put the blanket on the end of the bed and vacuum things up, and the bedroom is done. so much for joining me today. I hope you got a little bit of cleaning motivation from this video. If you liked it, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Today's video is going to be a Halloween cook with me. So if you guys are ready for it, we're gonna jump right into this video because I have a bunch of appetizers to cook, I have dinner, and a special dessert. So let's go. We're starting with appetizers today, and the first recipe we are going to make is a pumpkin deviled egg. Now they're not pumpkin flavored, but we're going to make them look like pumpkins. So I started off by hard boiling 6 eggs, and now I'm just going to slice them in half lengthwise and separate the yolk from the rest of the egg. With the egg yolks, I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, salt, pepper, and paprika. The real key to making these pumpkin deviled eggs is adding extra paprika. So paprika doesn't have that strong of a flavor, so you can kind of load it up. You could also add something like sriracha if you actually want some more spice to it, but really just adding something that makes it a little bit more orange looking as opposed to yellow. Then for the top of the pumpkin, I chose to use green onions. You can use any sort of herb or green vegetable, really anything you want, but you're just gonna slice it in a little small piece to look like the top of a pumpkin and insert it into each spot of egg yolk. Okay, how cute are these? They look like little adorable pumpkins, but they're just deviled eggs, very simple recipe, and because they're pumpkins, they're actually kind of fall themed. This is something you could use for Thanksgiving as well. Our next appetizer is going to be mini spider pizzas. Now, I didn't follow any particular recipe for this. I just chose to grab some Pillsbury pre-made pizza dough. You can use any brand. You could home make your own pizza dough, which I actually did in a video not that long ago, so I will link that in the cards above. But the main thing you're gonna wanna do is cut them into smaller circular shapes so it's appetizer style. If you have a circular or round cookie cutter, go ahead and grab that. I didn't, so I'm using a glass and I'm just turning it upside down. I had to give it a little bit more of a wiggle to cut through that dough, but it worked out just fine.
I get so caught up in the middle, thinking of drowning in those blue eyes. I'm losing sight 'cause I am falling. I'm so deep down, and it's not a lie that I die. I can't hide what this is.
Now this dough recommends that you pre-bake it in the oven before you put the sauce on. I do that when I home make my own pizza as well, just so it doesn't get too soggy. So I'm gonna stick it in the oven for a little bit, and while that cooks, I'm gonna start by cutting up some olives to try and make my little spiders that are gonna go on top. So this ended up being a little more tedious of a process than I thought it was going to be. But to make the head, you're going to slice the olive in half horizontally. So you'll have one side that kind of has a little star at the top of it, and that's going to be your head. Then for the body, you want to slice the olive in half lengthwise, and then again for the legs, lengthwise, and then chop through it to make sure you have 4 little strips on each side of the body to look like a spider that has 8 legs.
Yeah, I can carry all that you've got. 2 heavy hearts is not a lie. I will put out all of the fire. We stumble and fall. And it's not a lie that I die. I can't hide what this is. Yeah, I keep drowning in those blue eyes, and you can tell me all of your lies. I will put out all of the fire if it gets too dark. I'll be your light. Be your light. I'll be your light. If it gets too dark, I'll be your light.
It honestly was a balancing act getting the legs to stand up. The body and the head are super easy just to stick on those mini pizzas, but the legs can be kind of precarious. So you want to stick them in to the melted cheese a little bit, and that kind of helps them stay.
For you, I am running for you. I am running for you. If it gets too dark, I'll be your light. Be your light. I'll be your light. If it gets too dark, I'll be your light. I'll be.
Next up, we have jalapeno popper mummies. Now, I got this idea from a friend who I believe got it from Pinterest, and it's something she's made for the past couple years whenever we get together for Halloween and have a little party. They're so cute, and they are delicious. This is probably my favorite or second favorite of all of these recipes. So I started by taking my jalapenos and slicing them in half. Then I just added 8 ounces of cream cheese, 8 ounces of jack cheese, and some green onions and a little bit of salt. So the spice level of jalapenos really varies. Sometimes they are extremely spicy. Other times they're very mild and almost taste like a bell pepper. But for this, I really recommend that you take out all of the seeds. That's where the true spice comes from in the jalapeno. And if you have guests, you definitely don't want somebody biting into a jalapeno with seeds. That could get really spicy. And even if you do get a jalapeno that's a little bit more on the spicy side, even after you've taken all of the seeds out, this cream cheese and jack cheese mixture really kind of softens that spice. With all the seeds out, you just add your cheese mixture to the top and roll out your crescent roll dough. Now, you're going to want to have them in rectangular shapes, so that's 2 of the triangles put together, and cut them into long strips and just wrap them like a mummy. You leave a little bit of room so you can put some eyes on at the end, which you'll see me do in a moment, but just wrap them however you want. Sometimes I had the lines crisscross, sometimes they were just going straight around. It's not a science, just have fun with it.
You can do better. I dare you to be wilder. I don't fit into your box. Beauty queens without no flaws. You can do better. I dare you to be wilder. You can. Baby, let your head down. Be a little wilder. Baby, kick your shoes off. You don't have to hide it. Baby, let your
Time to give each of my mummies an egg wash, and this will just help it look nice and browned and beautiful when it comes out of the oven.
I don't fit into your box. Beauty queens without no flaws. You can do better. I dare you to
The final step to make these extra spooky and Halloween themed is to add some eyeballs on top. This is a set of candy eyeballs that I got from Wilton, but I will say they kind of tend to melt a bit if you add them onto the jalapeno poppers when they're still hot. So I would let them cool just a little bit and then add your eyeballs on. Our last appetizer is so simple to make. They are bat tortilla chips. So I make tortilla strips like this all the time to top taco soups, taco salads, all sorts of things. They're really easy and really delicious. So all I do is I take a flour tortilla, I brush it with some olive oil and top it with taco seasoning. I make my own taco seasoning, but you can use a packet or just use some of your favorite spices that are in taco seasonings. Sprinkle it on top, and then I'm using a bat shape today. You can use any cookie cutter, or if you're making them just in regular strips, you can do that as well. Stick them on a cookie sheet, and I just bake them in the oven until they're nice and crisp looking. And this would be perfect if you want to put some salsa on the side. You can make some homemade guacamole, any of your other favorite dips, but this one's really simple and a great way to make it Halloween themed. Look how cute they turn out when they come out of the oven. They're nice and browned, perfectly crispy, and great in your favorite salsa or guacamole. On to the main event. It is time for our creepy eyeball pasta. And this is a super easy recipe again, if you can even call it a recipe. I made some green pasta ahead of time. You can find something with spinach or anything like that, but the green really stands out and makes it Halloween themed. Then I made a basic red sauce with ground beef, onions, and mushrooms, and tried to top the green pasta off and just keep it in the center. Usually when I make a pasta and a pasta sauce, I mix it all together, but I really wanted that green pasta to stand out. So here comes the fun part. We are going to make eyeballs for the top of the pasta out of mozzarella cheese and olives. Now, besides the mozzarella cheese and olives, you're going to need 2 different sized straws. So all you do is push the straws through the mozzarella discs that you'll slice up and make little holes in the center. You can make them off-centered if you want the eyeballs to look like they're looking in different directions. And then slice the olives lengthwise so you can really push that straw in there and use the olive circles that you make to refill that spot in the mozzarella cheese. And ta-da, it looks like little eyeballs. Finally, for dessert, we have mini Oreo and cream cupcakes. So earlier I said the jalapeno popper mummies may be one of my favorite recipes. This one definitely rivals it. These are so good. A party favorite. They're a crowd pleaser. These are a must try. The recipe starts off with putting your cupcake liners into your cupcake tray and then sticking a mini Oreo at the bottom of each. Now I'm just going to mix my dry ingredients together. So I have a cup and 2/3 of flour, half a teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and half a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to move this aside and start to put together my wet ingredients. So we have half a cup of melted butter that's cooled off just a little bit, a cup of sugar, 3/4 of a cup of any type of milk. I just used almond milk, that's what I had. A teaspoon and a half of vanilla, a 1/4 cup of Greek yogurt, and then 1 egg. Now it's time to fill up the cupcake liners with the batter, and I'm using my brand new cookie scoop. I have a mini one and a larger one, and I was lucky enough to get these as a gift. So if the gift giver is watching, thank you so, so much. This is a kitchen gadget I've been wanting for a while, and it makes cupcakes and muffins and cookies so much easier and mess-free. So thank you. To make the icing for the top of these cupcakes, all you need is a cup of unsalted butter, 4 cups of powdered sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, about 1/3 of a cup milk or cream, and you'll just kind of want to balance it out and test the consistency, so that can kind of vary. Some salt, and then if you aren't going to color it like I did, you can add some crushed Oreos to it as well, but since I wanted to add some coloring to this and sprinkles on top, I chose to omit the crushed Oreos.
It's a shame that my hands start shaking all of the time when you're around me. But this time, girl, I know what's bothering me. I need somebody to love. Oh, nah, 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 nah. Don't you see what's wrong with me? I need somebody to love. Oh, oh, nah, nah. I don't know what I could say to convince you to hang around when you don't have to. There's so much that I'm still keeping to myself, 'cause you don't listen, babe. But still you got me missing you. When I see you, my heart starts racing, but I don't know if I like.
Gel food coloring really helps make frostings vibrant. It helps make cakes really vibrant. And that's exactly what I was going for with these Halloween colors. So I have a question for you guys. Does anybody know why the orange, green, and purple are considered Halloween colors? Is it just a coincidence? Or is there a certain reason? I've always kind of wondered, but regardless, I love the colors together. Whenever I decorate for Halloween or host some sort of Halloween party, I love using those colors as the theme, just because I think it's a little more fun and less scary and spooky. I'm not the person to decorate with skulls and fake blood and all of that stuff, so I like having this fun, bright colors to use for Halloween.
Why don't you come on over and be my son?
Now with my 3 piping bags filled up, I am going to ice these cupcakes one by one, and that's definitely the downside of mini cupcakes, is it takes a little bit longer, but look how cute they look.
I need somebody. I need somebody. Give me somebody. Give me somebody. Somebody to love. Who knows what you think about me? And I know I shouldn't care. I really tried my best, but I can't make you happy. And I can't stop time for you. I don't know why we couldn't work this out, because you know I tried the best I could. I don't know how or what I could have done better. Baby, I really tried the best I could. I can't stop time for you.
I got these Halloween sprinkles that perfectly match the frosting from Target. It's from their Hide and Eek Boutique collection. So I sprinkled them on top, and a tip for you, if you frost your cupcakes, don't wait too long before you add those sprinkles on, or else they won't stick very well. I definitely waited a little bit too long. So it was a little bit harder to get them to stick, but we managed.
I don't know why we couldn't work this out, because you know I tried the best I could. The best I could. I can't stop time for you. I can't stop time for you.
Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope that you found a recipe that you want to try. And if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't yet, or if you're new here. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Today's video is going to be a cozy fall organize with me. We're gonna do a little bit of baking. We're gonna organize the front hall closet right behind me and a few other things. So with that being said, I'm excited. Let's jump right into the video and get baking and organizing. The first thing we have to do is set the fall mood. So I'm going to turn on these little twinkly lights with my leaves that I've added on my island and light a fall candle just to make everything feel nice and cozy in here. After we've set the mood, we're gonna set the mood even more by baking some pumpkin coffee cake. Now this is a healthier pumpkin coffee cake. It uses almond flour. It uses coconut sugar if you have that on hand. I didn't, so I just used regular sugar, but it's a great recipe. It turned out so moist, and I'm ashamed to admit how fast we finished this. I'll leave the exact recipe that I used in the description box below, but it ended up being super easy and super flavorful. So now that I had the dry ingredients mixed together, I'm mixing all of our wet ingredients and then going to combine the two.
We fly around like paper planes, they never know where we will fall. Nobody can see us, still they wanna tear us apart. There's something different about the way we are. There's something different about us. There's something different about us. We're pouring cup after cup after cup. Yeah, it's just the way we do it. Anything just to block out the...
I'm using my baking pan and then going to put the base layer into my 8x8 Pyrex baking dish and then start to make the crumble to put on top, which is the best part of a coffee cake. Let me know if you think the same thing, but that crumble with the sugar on it, it just kind of makes it. The crumble was just almond flour, sugar, coconut oil, and pumpkin pie spice. Once it's all mixed together and nice and crumbly looking, you're gonna sprinkle it on top of your base layer and then pop it right in the oven and let it cook.
Not to be like them. We fly around like paper planes, they never know where we will fall. Nobody can see us, still they wanna tear us apart. There's something different about the way we are.
Now it's time for the main event, which is to organize my coat closet. This is my front hall closet, and you can see I've completely taken this thing over. My husband doesn't have any jackets in here. This is all mine, so it's really time for me to go through and declutter. He has some other stuff in here as well, but it's really mostly mine, and it would be nice if I could make some room for his stuff too. Although he does only own 2 jackets, and he just leaves those in the closet. Now I'm making a pile of things that I want to keep and things I want to get rid of. So the pile right behind me are jackets I want to keep. And then the pile a little bit to the left on the screen there is the pile of stuff that I think I'm willing to get rid of. Okay, you guys, I have 5 raincoat type jackets, 5 waterproof jackets. Nobody needs that many. I like showing this jacket. This is the jacket that I use to coach for figure skating. If you guys didn't know, I am a figure skating coach on top of being an attorney. And so this jacket says Coach Sophie on it, and I just love it.
Why do you keep telling me nothing?
Now it's time to organize my bin where I keep all of my winter gear. So that's my scarves, my hats, my gloves, everything like that. And I've gone through this relatively recently, but I think there's still a few things that I can get rid of. Even if not, there are scarves that need to be refolded. Actually, since the last time I reorganized this bin, I acquired one more scarf. I was in Minnesota with my family a few weeks ago for a wedding, and it was kind of chilly out, and I took one of my mom's cashmere scarves with me to keep me warm. And I loved it so much, she actually let me keep it, which was super sweet of her. So I have one more scarf than I had before.
'Cause we've been through hell. I can't be without you. I've tried and I failed. So can we work it out? Yeah. Only time will tell. I still want all of you, and I know all your colors. And I guess because of that, I can think of no others.
The pumpkin coffee cake is done, so I'm going to cut 2 slices, one for me and one for my husband, and look how good that looks. Now I'm going to take a little break, and of course I have to make some pumpkin spice coffee and sit down and try it out and sip on my coffee, because of course you have to have coffee with coffee cake.
Beyond us. Can we work it out? Only time will tell.
Into the rest of the hall closet, I know I can get rid of one of my umbrellas. I have 3, and I felt like I could get rid of one that was from the J. Crew outlet. It's actually really flimsy. It was cute, but it doesn't really work. I also keep all of our extra grocery bags and reusable bags in the hall closet. It's perfect because I can grab it as I go. But a lot of times when I use these for groceries, sometimes things leak. I use them for other things and they get dirty. So I'm going to go through, check the insides, make sure they're clean, and try and declutter a few that may not be in their prime anymore.
What is on your mind? I think it's time to speak. I have crossed the line, but no, not just me. I'm feeling.
You'll see I have my car scraper, so as we prepare for fall and winter, Denver actually has had its first snow, so I'm going to pull that out and stick it straight into my car.
Only time will tell. It's gonna take a
Time to load it all back up again, so I'm going to go in rainbow order and start by adding my pink jackets, and then follow all the way through with black, gray, and then all the way to white.
only time will tell. Ooh, only time will tell. Ooh.
I wanted to take this organizing project, as I do with all organizing projects, to the next level, so I'm adding some little labels onto these bins. There's only 2 of them at the top of the closet, and I know what goes in them. I feel like sometimes my husband doesn't necessarily know, or sometimes I do get them confused, so it's helpful for both of us to have these labels. And I'm just using bin clips from the Container Store, and then labels I make myself using my Cricut. If you ever want to purchase labels, I have that in the description box below. If you ever want to start making your own labels, I also have that in the description box if you want to know exactly what tools I use to make my labels.
Really mind all the smoke is in the bathroom. I don't care at all, baby. You got my attention.
one last look. Here is the before of the closet. And then here is the after. Maybe it doesn't look like a huge difference, but it feels so much better to me, and I want to show you everything I decluttered. So I got rid of 3 reusable bags, an umbrella, a little pom-pom for a hat, a hood to one of my jackets I never wear. Those vests I'm going to relocate to my closet, and then I got rid of 5 jackets, and I'm going to either consign those or donate them. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you got a little bit of fall organization motivation. Maybe you're gonna go tackle your hall closet as well. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and until next time, I will see you guys later.
If you tried, you wouldn't understand it. Maybe something's missing inside of you. Just a bit of sugar to that horrid bit.
Today, I'm gonna do an extreme fall meal prep video. I'm hoping I have enough energy to do all of this because it's pretty ambitious. I have like a snack, a side dish, a full main dish, some bread that I'm gonna make, because what else makes me think of fall other than some warm homemade bread, and a dessert recipe. So tons of different things in here, lots of fall flavors and different cozy food items. So if you're ready for it, let's get right into the cooking.
'Cause I don't believe you when you say that you miss me. 'Cause where are your actions to prove me you're different? When I say I need you and you head the direction that's leading away from me, baby.
So let's start simple here with the snack that I wanted to make first, and that's the homemade oven baked apple chips. Now, this recipe is beyond simple. I try and put the recipes on the screen so you can kind of follow along and walk you through all of the different ingredients and how much of everything I add and the steps and everything like that. But with this recipe, I'm not even gonna put the ingredients on the screen because it's that simple. You can make these apple chips with a knife, but if you have a mandolin, it's gonna make it a heck of a lot easier. You're gonna get a much more consistent bake on your apple chips. So it does help if you have one. Definitely make sure you use that instead of a knife, but you'll still be able to do it with a knife. So you will want to gather all of your apples, give them a nice good wash, and then start to cut them as thin as possible, about 1/8 of an inch. My mandolin has 1/8 of an inch setting, so again, it was really easy. I just slide my apples back and forth and create those perfect little round circles. Now you can core your apples if you want to. You don't have to. I find that the seeds kind of fall out or bake away, so I don't waste my time with any of that. So I just slice them straight away with the skin on and everything. Then I lay my apples on a baking sheet. I just used some silicone pads there so that they didn't stick to the baking sheet. And you're gonna wanna make sure that they're in a single layer, not overlapping with each other so they can actually crisp up. You'll sprinkle on some cinnamon if you want cinnamon apple chips. If you want them just regular, you don't have to sprinkle on the cinnamon. And then put them in a 225-degree oven for about an hour. Flip them over, stick them back in there for another hour, maybe 2, depending on how crispy you want them. Take them out and you have a super healthy, delicious snack. Next up is one of my favorite recipes that I make all the time. It is such a crowd pleaser. We love having it for tons of different meals, so that's why I thought it would be great to kind of meal prep in advance, and then we would have it when we wanted it for warm curry dishes and other stuff like that. So I'm going to add in my 2 teaspoons of dry active yeast, a teaspoon of sugar, and mix that in with 1/2 cup of warm water. Once that's all nice and frothy, you can go ahead and add in your 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 cup of olive oil, 1 large egg. And if you see me adding more ingredients than I'm saying right now, I did double the recipe. But if you want to just do a regular batch of it, stick with what I'm saying and what is on the screen. So after you have that egg in there, you'll add a 1/3 cup of plain yogurt. You can use Greek yogurt here. That works great. I do Greek yogurt all the time, and mix it all together.
So put your hand in mine, I will be there every day. When you're sick of the climb, I will make sure it's okay.
Add in your first cup of flour and mix that in nice and good. And then you can continue to add more flour as you go, but it's helpful to kind of incorporate it a little bit at a time. Half a cup at a time usually works until you can't stir it with a spoon anymore. So in addition to your first cup, then you should add about another cup and a half. Once it's looking like it's mostly combined, I get my hands in there and start working it in the bowl and start kneading it in there and get it into a nice ball shape. It should be smooth and soft, but not really sticky anymore. You can loosely cover your dough and let it rise until it's doubled in size, which should take about an hour. Make sure it's in a pretty warm place, not too cold. And then after it has risen and doubled in size, you can take it out on a nice floured surface. And if you're just doing the regular batch of the recipe, you're going to want to cut it into 8 slices. So I first cut mine in half. Then I'm going to do my 8 slices, but again, I'm making 16 because I doubled it.
Every day I got your back, and you can count on me for that. So put your hand in mine, I will be there every day. When you're sick of the climb, I will make sure it's okay.
The fun thing about these naan breads is you don't have to worry about perfect circles. I just roll them out until it's about 1/4 of an inch thick. And for some reason, I find that it helps if you don't roll them all out at once. I don't think they get the same bubbles if you roll them all out right away. So I kind of try and go back and forth and back and forth. And so you'll see I have a cast iron skillet. That's what I like using on about medium heat. I put it on one side, let it cook up until I start to see bubbles, flip it over. I add some salt and parsley and butter to it, and then take it off and switch and put the next one. So it's just this constant flipping and adding the toppings on the naan. Sometimes I'll do a garlic butter and brush that on. The only thing about the cast iron is it can start to get pretty smoky if you are cooking a lot of these, and I find it just overpowers the kitchen. So I try not to cook too many or take too long as I'm doing it, or else things get a little bit smoky in the kitchen. So again, you'll see once I put a naan on, then I head back over and go back and roll more out, and then head back and keep flip-flopping. But here is the final product. Time for some pumpkin pasta with crispy sage and ricotta. This recipe was kind of fun, very fall, very festive. Sage really makes me think of fall, and of course that pumpkin flavor. So I'm getting my pasta boiling in some water. I just did a rigatoni, and then I bought some spicy sausage that I'm adding to mine, but you could definitely skip that if you want it to be more of a vegetarian recipe.
Hold up, baby, I can sit beside you while you're going on about your simple life. Nothing left you thinking.
Once I got that sausage out of there, I added in 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter with 4 tablespoons of flour and cooked that in a saucepan until a thick paste was formed, and then added in 3 cups of whole milk. Get that nice and incorporated and let it cook for about 10 or so minutes, stirring it to make sure that milk doesn't burn or anything like that. But you should see that the mixture thickens up enough that it can coat the back of a spoon. Then you'll take it off of the heat and add in your 2 teaspoons of brown sugar, half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, half a teaspoon of salt. Mix that up a bit, and then you can add a 15-ounce can. That's just the regular normal size of pumpkin puree. Not pumpkin pie filling or anything like that. Just the pumpkin puree is all you need.
Hold up, baby, I can sit beside you while you're going on about your simple life.
So I've drained my pasta. I'm going to add in the sauce to it, mix it around, and also add in my spicy sausage that I got until it's fully incorporated. So that's the base layer of our pasta. Then there's going to be a topping that we're making that's cheesy and going to make it extra creamy and delicious. So you'll need 15 ounces of ricotta, half a teaspoon of salt, a quarter teaspoon of ground pepper, 2 large eggs, 3 garlic cloves that are minced. I'm mixing that up and then going to chop some fresh sage because you'll need 2 tablespoons of that to add into the mixture that we just made. And then you'll reserve some more for the top of the pasta bake as well.
Couldn't face the truth that maybe you're just not that nice and humble kind. That would be a lie. Go on, blah.
Once your ricotta mixture is made, you're going to add in a first layer of that pasta to the bottom of your baking dish. And then you can just kind of add in little clumps of the ricotta throughout. Top with another layer of pasta, repeat with the ricotta mixture, and then also add some slices of fresh mozzarella on top. Now, the nice thing about this that makes it something that you can prep in advance is this pasta bake. You can easily prep this entire thing, put it in your refrigerator, and then pop it in the oven when you're ready. So you could make this the night before, early in the morning, and then have it for dinner. Just don't forget to add a little bit of unsalted butter with some sage leaves into a saucepan. Let that cook up and add it on top as some crispy sage.
Even though there's overdue, we had a fire, now we're watching it burn low. Isn't it time we go our separate ways? Not enough time.
Time for a side dish. Another easy one to prep in advance is quinoa. So I added a cup of quinoa with 2 cups of water and cooked it according to the instructions. And while that quinoa was cooking, I grabbed a pound of mushrooms and started slicing those up nice and thin. So let me know your thought on mushrooms. I know this is really strange, but I kept about half of the mushroom stems and discarded the other half. I don't mind them too much, but sometimes when there's too many stems, it's just kind of off-putting to me. So I did about 50-50.
Losing my pride, but I guess that's what love do to people like us, struggling to come through. We had a fire that we watched it burn out.
So once those were thinly sliced, I added some olive oil to a skillet with my mushrooms, 5 cloves of garlic. This is nice and garlicky, half a teaspoon of dried thyme, some fresh salt and pepper, and mixed that up and cooked it until everything was nice and tender.
My body and mind, my body and mind. You feel like demons in my mind, demons.
Add your mushroom mixture into the quinoa once it's done cooking. Stir it to combine it, and then I added in some grated Parmesan. You can do about 2 tablespoons, but you'll see I definitely didn't measure. The more Parmesan or the more cheese in general, the better. And so I just dumped the rest of it in there because why not?
Demons pushing on my triggers. Demons pushing on my triggers. I'm acting surprised, but I know I'm not over.
Time to get fancy with dessert. This one's probably jumping the gun a little bit because we're making some pumpkin cookies, and you can choose to completely follow what I did. This was a recipe I grabbed from Half Baked Harvest, one of my favorite places to grab recipes. I did end up cutting them like jack-o'-lanterns, and for September, that's probably a little preemptive for something that's a holiday at the end of October. But you'll see I started to make the cookies by adding 1 1/4 cups of brown sugar, 3 sticks of salted butter, a tablespoon of vanilla extract, and then beat that all together in my mixer. Once that's evenly combined, you can start to add your 2 eggs, mix it up again, and then begin to add your dry ingredients. So that's going to be 4.5 cups of flour. Don't dump that all in at once or you're going to have a complete flour explosion, but a cup at a time should be good. So I'm adding all of that in there, and then I'm going to add in the rest of the dry ingredients. So a teaspoon of baking soda, teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of ginger, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and a half teaspoon of salt. And even though there are a bunch of those really fall type flavors in there, it almost tastes more like a snickerdoodle cookie. So if you choose not to make these in the shape of a jack-o'-lantern, it really doesn't feel too ahead of the time with fall if you're not quite ready yet, because the nutmeg and stuff is pretty minimal. So it does taste more like a snickerdoodle with some chocolate, which you'll see in a little bit. With the dough done, I grabbed my favorite rolling pin. This is perfect because you can adjust it to the exact thickness that you want your dough. In this dough, you want to be about 1/4 inch thick. So I just selected the correct size and then began to start rolling that dough out. Then I started cutting my cookies using a pumpkin cookie cutter. You can make these cookies whatever you want, but I think the pumpkins are really cute. I used a pumpkin cookie cutter, and I'm making half of the cookies just plain with nothing cut out of them, just with that cookie cutter. And then the other half, I'm going to use a small paring knife and cut a cute little jack-o'-lantern face on it. And we'll have some milk chocolate melted in a little bit. And you'll see once they're baked and I combine the whole thing together, it's kind of fun because that milk chocolate peeks through and oozes through the eyes and through the mouth. So it does add a little something extra when you have those cutouts, though it was extremely tedious because I was trying to have little teeth on all of the pumpkins. It kind of took forever. As you're going though, you will want to add your cutout cookies into the freezer for about 15 to 20 minutes before you bake them. So it was kind of okay that it took me a while to cut all these out because I was working in batches. So I would put some in the freezer, go back to cutting, and then switch and put the ones that were just in the freezer in the oven and then continue cutting. And being pregnant, I probably should have pulled up a chair with all of that bending over and stuff and working on those little faces, but I sucked it up and made all of those cookies. So the first batch came out of the freezer and I loaded them up onto my baking sheet, again with that little silicone sheet so the cookies don't stick, and put them in the oven at 350 degrees for about 12 minutes is I think what I ended up with. You want them to be just slightly brown. Transfer them over to a wire cooling rack and then continue going and making sure you have an even number of tops and bottoms of your cookies.
Living in the past, we're over that. I'm feeling it tonight, riding on the dizzying heights.
In the meantime, I took 2 tablespoons of salted butter and kind of browned that in a little saucepan, which will help with our cinnamon sugar coating. Also got 12 ounces of milk chocolate melted, and I just used the microwave to do that.
Remember the colors, they were wrong. It was way more than a dream. We climbed up, over the hillside.
So look at that giant stack of cookies. It's time to combine everything and make these into little pumpkin sandwiches. Brush the top of your cookie, the one with the jack-o'-lantern face, with that browned butter. Then sprinkle the cinnamon sugar on top. So the browned butter makes it so that the cinnamon sugar will stick to the cookie. Take your bottom part, which is the part that doesn't have the face, it's the full cookie. Give it a nice, generous dollop of that milk chocolate and press the jack-o'-lantern face on top. And you'll see that, like I said before, when you sandwich them together, if you have enough of that milk chocolate mixture, it'll kind of ooze up through the cookie and looks super cute, and it's delicious. Again, like a snickerdoodle with a milk chocolate sandwich, it is an awesome recipe. I would easily make these again. That being said, if you do make the jack-o'-lantern faces, know that this is a time-intensive cookie.
There's no going back to your old life. Not living in the past, we're over that. I'm feeling it tonight, riding on the dizzying.
If you end up having any parties this fall or something, this would be a fun cookie to bring to a Halloween party or a fall themed party or something like that. Or you can just enjoy them at home, maybe not worry about the little faces as much, but they are definitely cookies that will impress. Look at all of that delicious food. It's all perfect for fall. I tasted all of it as I went. I love the cookies, can never go wrong with naan bread. That pasta is delicious and not too pumpkin-y. Apple chips are a go-to for me, and that quinoa mushroom side dish is going to be perfect for a meal this week. So if you liked today's video, I would really appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Today's video, we are going to be making 4 healthy Thanksgiving appetizers and a Thanksgiving drink as well. I'm really excited for the different appetizers I've come up with. I tried to find things that were as healthy as possible, hopefully some unique finds as well. Even if you guys aren't doing a large family gathering or a large Friendsgiving or anything like that, these are foods that you can make at home for just your small family to enjoy as well. So if you guys are ready, then let's jump right into the video because I can't wait to get cooking.
You look at me like I'm crazy when I shut my feelings out. You look at me like I'm...
The first recipe we're starting off with today is going to be an apple cider mocktail or an apple cider mule. And I'm just gonna rim the glass with some cinnamon sugar. So I'm using some lemon so that cinnamon sugar mixture will stick to it, and then rolling it around. This recipe is so simple and you can really make it whatever you want it to be. So I'm just adding some ice and then my favorite apple cider and topping it with some ginger beer. Now ginger beer is non-alcoholic, so you could leave it like this and make it a mocktail, or you could add in some vodka and make it like a mule. You could also add in some bourbon or whiskey, and that always goes really great with apple cider, so it's really up to you. Now I already made it a little fancy with the cinnamon sugar rim, but I'm gonna also add some apple slices, cinnamon sticks, and orange festive straws.
By the way we are.
Our next recipe is going to be sweet potato rounds with herbed ricotta and walnuts. Now for this recipe, you're gonna add 2 cups of ricotta cheese, 3 teaspoons of Italian seasoning, 3 tablespoons of honey, and mix it all together.
There's something different about us. We're pouring cup after cup after cup. Yeah, it's just the way we do it. Anything just to block out the real life, real life. Yeah, we're loving the way they think we're so messed up. Even if what we're doing is bad, there's so many emotions.
Sweet potatoes are always a Thanksgiving classic. A lot of times you'll see sweet potato casserole or mashed sweet potatoes. That's what my family likes to do. But with this recipe, it's great for a Friendsgiving or something where you want it to be more of an appetizer. So I'm just going to slice the sweet potato up into rounds and we're going to top it with the ricotta cheese.
Can see it. Still they wanna tear us apart. There's something different about the way we are.
Drizzle the sweet potatoes with some olive oil and a sprinkle of cinnamon and mix the bowl around so it gets on all sides of the sweet potato. And I actually just lost one from the bowl there, but I'm gonna put it on a baking sheet and then pop it in the oven that's preheated to 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. And then after the 20 minutes, I'm gonna flip it and bake for another 20 minutes or until it starts to look a little bit crispy on the edges and cooked all the way through.
Give me all your love, oh, 'cause I want you. No one else.
When there's about 10 minutes left for your sweet potatoes, you're gonna take some walnuts and spread them out on a baking sheet and roast those below the sweet potatoes is just fine. And make sure they get a little bit toasted in the oven. So again, just that last 10 minutes should do. And you're going to grab your ricotta mixture out of the refrigerator, add a little bit of salt to it, and mix that up. Now you can top all of the sweet potato rounds with a little bit of ricotta, and then we're gonna chop up those walnuts, put that on top, and some cranberry, and then make it a little extra sweet by drizzling some honey. Now, I love the taste of cheese and honey together. The salty and sweet is so delicious. My husband really did like these sweet potato rounds, but felt like some of them were a little bit too sweet. So don't overdo it with the honey. I think my honey was a little bit loose, so it just kind of drizzled all over them. So I would probably do a little bit less honey next time.
Promise you won't leave my side. I hope who I am is enough for you. If I'm giving you my love, giving you my love, love. Tell me what you want.
So if you normally have sweet potatoes at your Thanksgiving dinner, I would love to hear how you typically prepare them. There are so many different ways to do it. I know there are people who are team sweet potato casserole with marshmallows on top. Other people hate it that way. But I think this is just a fun alternative that's a little bit different if you guys want to try something new.
Stay here with you. All that we have is each other now. I promise I won't leave your side. Be who you are and you'll be enough. If you're giving me your love, giving me your love. All that we have is each other now.
The next recipe is a savory rosemary pumpkin hummus, and I love this one. It starts with some roasted garlic. My garlic is almost done roasting on the stove top over there, so I'm going to start the rest of the ingredients for our pumpkin hummus. So I'm adding in 2/3 of a cup of pureed pumpkin, a can of drained chickpeas, 2 tablespoons of water, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and 1 tablespoon of maple syrup.
Give me love, give me all your love, give me all your love.
I'm gonna top it off with some salt and then grab the roasted garlic and add that as well.
Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise. And now, there's something in the air.
As you can see, this was a super simple recipe. I added the rosemary and mixed it in after, so I just kind of finely chopped it and did about a teaspoon or so, and then saved some for the top to sprinkle just so it looked nice and festive when I presented it into this pumpkin dish. This hummus goes great with lots of different things. It would be great with some little mini naan breads, apple slices, crackers, carrots, toast, some roasted vegetables, pita chips, really whatever you want. So I put together a few different things.
Hand in hand, building castles out of sand, reaching for the grand.
Our next recipe is like Thanksgiving dinner in a bite. So these are stuffing turkey meatballs. I'm starting with some onions and garlic in a pan and getting that warm.
Dreamy, breezy, we go.
So while the onions cook, we're gonna take 3 cups of stuffing with 1 cup of chicken stock and rehydrate the stuffing and let that sit for 5 minutes.
Beyond gravel, beyond dawn. A bigger scale, the world inhales as we go. I wouldn't want it any other way, no. Dreamy, breezy, we go. Easy, easy on our tiptoes, undercover agents of the other, beyond gravel, beyond all.
So now we have the stuffing, the onions, and the garlic all mixed together. I'm gonna add in 1 teaspoon of salt to this mixture, as well as a little bit of thyme, rosemary, and sage and parsley.
Agents of the other, beyond gravel, beyond all.
I wanted to escape for a while. Thought that a couple of drinks could ease my mind. I've been thinking of you for 2 weeks straight. I know that I need to get myself back in the game. Someone said your name had a
With everything all mixed together, I'm gonna use a cookie scoop and scoop out all of those meatballs onto a baking sheet. I'm using the larger size of a cookie scoop, but if you do want this to be more of an appetizer, I would do the smaller size just so it's not such a large chunk of meat for an appetizer that you might put out casually on your coffee table or something like that. And if it's smaller, people could potentially pick it up with a toothpick. And I decided to serve this both with cranberry sauce and a little bit of gravy so people can dunk it in to their cranberry sauce or their gravy or whatever they prefer. Now I'm using my digital meat thermometer just to make sure they're completely cooked through, and I want to make sure it says 165 degrees in all the meatballs. I'm starting with 1.5 pounds of mushroom caps, and I'm just going to separate out the stems from the mushroom caps, chop them up, add them to a skillet with 2 tablespoons of butter.
Someone said your name had to turn around. Suddenly you're there standing in the crowd.
These stuffed mushrooms really do have a Thanksgiving feel to them. I like that I'm able to get a vegetable as an appetizer. That's always a nice bonus for me. And then who doesn't love something that's stuffed with cheese? In my family, we don't typically have mushrooms on the side of our Thanksgiving meal. We oftentimes will do green beans, like I know a lot of other people do. We have a salad as another form of a vegetable, but this makes me want to add mushrooms to the regular rotation for Thanksgiving. I would love to hear what type of vegetable you guys have on your Thanksgiving table, and if this is one that you would love to have as an appetizer. I'm starting with those chopped mushroom stems in the skillet, and I'm cooking them until most of the moisture is out, so about 5 minutes. Then I'm going to add some garlic and let that cook for an additional minute or so, and then toss in 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs and let that toast a little bit, so 3 minutes or so should do just fine.
Stopped, nothing's changed. We're the same, and we skip the small talk, 'cause you know me. Yeah, you know me like nobody else.
Now I'm just going to add together the breadcrumbs and the mushrooms and the garlic mixture with some cream cheese, Parmesan cheese, and parsley and thyme. So into the mixture, I'm adding 4 ounces of cream cheese and 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese.
All I have, I'm used to get nothing back. Wherever I go, it's the same. There's no excuses, no one to blame. Sometimes I can understand how it can be so hard to stay.
I'm also going to add in some salt and pepper, mix it all up, and then stuff those mushroom caps and pop it in the oven for 20 minutes.
Stay the same. Would you call me on the midnight train? Would you come over when nothing's right? Would you hold me tight in the rain? Even as we're having a fight, say
I had no idea how much of the stuffing mix I should add into each of these mushroom caps, so I started with less and found out I had tons of extra of this mixture, and I was kind of surprised at how full I could get them, but that just gave them even more flavor to have more cheesy goodness in each and every mushroom.
but now there is so much to say. This time it is different. Sometimes I can't understand how it can be so hard to stay out of pain. But with you everything has changed, even though we both stay the same. Would you call me on the midnight train? Would you come over when nothing's right? Would you hold me tight in the rain? Even as we're having a fight, just say
so much for hanging out with me today. I had a ton of fun coming up with these recipes and cooking along with you guys today. If you ever make one of these recipes, make sure to take a photo, share it on Instagram, and tag me. I love to see what you guys make, especially when you make some of the recipes that I share. If you like this video or this type of video, make sure to give it a thumbs up so I know and can make more cooking videos. Always subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I am gonna go jump into eating this food because this spread looks so good. So until next time, I will see you guys later. Today's video is gonna be another fall meal prep. So I did one, gosh, like a month or so back to kick fall off, but now we are really in the throes of fall. It's October, things are actually getting colder. So I have some cozy soup recipes, a grilled cheese, a banana bread, some granola, a whole bunch of meal prep ideas that you can freeze or just prep in advance that are perfect for fall. So if you're ready for it, then let's jump right into the video. Today's first recipe is maple quinoa granola. Now this is a great one to prep in advance. I love having homemade granola on hand just for snacking to top on yogurt. Sometimes I like it with milk and a little bit of fruit. And this quinoa granola is a little unique, really healthy, lots of nuts and whole grains. So you're gonna start by adding 2.5 cups of oats to your mixing bowl. Then add 1/2 cup of quinoa, just raw. You don't need to cook it or anything like that in advance. And then 1 cup of raw nuts. So I'm doing 1/2 cup of almonds and 1/2 cup of walnuts. Next up, add a 1/2 cup of shredded coconut. This should be the unsweetened type. You don't need all that sugar in here. And a 1/4 cup of chia seeds. Next up is all of the different spices. You need 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/3 cup maple syrup, 3 tablespoons of melted coconut oil. So I'm going to stick that in the microwave to get that nice and melty so it blends in well. And while I do that, I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 3 tablespoons of molasses. And finally, once I add in the coconut milk and blend that all together, I'm gonna add 1 egg white that I've whipped up a little bit too. Once everything's all mixed up, you'll add your mixture onto a parchment-lined baking sheet. Put it into the oven at 300 degrees in the center rack. Bake it for about 20 minutes. Then take it out of the oven, give it a good stir and make sure everything gets all mixed up, and add it back into the oven with everything still in a single layer again for another 15 or 20 minutes until the granola looks golden brown. While it's in there cooking, I'm gonna get my mix-ins ready, and you can really get creative with these. I did a mixture of dried figs and raisins, and the figs were so delicious. If you haven't had dried figs before, I would definitely recommend it. But you can add other things like chocolate chips, cranberries, apricots, cherries, or really any other dried fruit or anything you like in your granola.
of all the magic places in the world I've been to, this is where my heart is. Oh, you know it's true. No matter where I go, I'm coming home to you.
Once the granola is done, you can pull it out of the oven and let it sit on a cooling rack to cool completely. You want to make sure it cools completely so it forms those granola clusters. And once it's completely cooled, then you can carefully mix it around and kind of crumble the granola. And I'm just going to put it in a Tupperware container to store. You should be able to store it for 2 weeks at room temperature, or you can freeze it for up to 2 whole months. So it's a great thing to put in your freezer as well.
And one day she said, write me a love song, 'cause I know you'll make it beautiful. And maybe I'll call you my sweetheart, and promise nobody can steal me away. Then I am yours, 'cause I want you and I wanted you to know.
The next recipe is a whole wheat blueberry banana bread. And I like this one because it's whole wheat. I really like extra fruit. Usually I do chocolate chips in my banana bread, but this one feels like a healthier banana bread compared to what I usually make because of the whole wheat and then replacing the chocolate chips with blueberries. Now with this recipe, you can also add in walnuts, but I chose not to. I really don't like nuts in my banana bread, so I opted to skip that. But the first thing you're going to do is start with 1.5 cups of mashed overripe bananas. That's about 3 or 4 bananas. If your bananas are smaller, I would go for 4. But mash those together while you're heating up 2 tablespoons of coconut oil.
I am yours, 'cause I want you and I wanted you to know.
Into your bowl, you're going to add 1/2 cup of maple syrup, 1/4 cup of non-fat plain Greek yogurt, and I have that in a bowl with my bananas and 1 large egg.
Under the moonlight as they kept on dancing.
I'm going to mix it all together, and then you can add in 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract, your 2 tablespoons of coconut oil now that it's melted. Keep mixing it together, and then I'm also adding in my dry ingredients, so 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and finally the last thing you're going to add in is 1.5 cups of whole wheat flour, and I used white whole wheat flour.
As a young girl, the fields were mine. We played hide and seek for hours, raised our shadows among the...
With the batter completely mixed, you'll add in about 3/4 cup of blueberries, gently fold them in and add it to your greased baking loaf, and then you can top the loaf off with even more blueberries. There should be about 1 cup of blueberries in total in your and on top of your banana bread.
Take me back, all the way back to them days, running around in a gown and a crown, barefoot.
So I'm going to put that in the oven. The oven is set at 350 degrees and I am going to bake it for 35 minutes. Then you can come back and check on it. If it's starting to look nice and brown on top, cover it with some tin foil and bake it for another 25 to 35 minutes. As usual with all breads, I like to stick a toothpick in there to make sure it comes out clean without any sticky dough on it. That's how I know it's done, and then set it out to cool.
Take me back, all the way back to them days, running around in a gown and a crown, barefoot.
Next up is the roasted parsnip apple soup. This is a soup that really makes me think of fall. I will say it's probably not a soup that everyone will love. You have to really like parsnips to like this soup. So if you like that root vegetable flavor, this will be a soup that you like. But if it's not your thing, then I would definitely skip this one. It's one of those recipes that I really liked, but my husband Jim was not as much of a fan.
Back to them days. Daydreamer, looking at me. Have me running around.
The first thing you're going to do for the soup is take 2.5 pounds of parsnips. That's probably about 10 or so, and get them peeled and cut them into 1/2-inch slices. You also need 2 large Granny Smith apples, peeled, cored, and cut into slices as well.
It's 2 a.m. and I can't fall asleep 'cause I'm not tired.
So if you see me chit-chatting while I'm cooking right now, I was actually FaceTiming a friend back from Denver. If you don't know, I recently moved from Denver, Colorado to Omaha, Nebraska. So I'm missing a lot of my friends in Denver and was FaceTiming one of them, and she asked to see how my baby bump was looking. So I had to show her a little view of the bump and give her an update on that. But it's fun for me to be able to FaceTime my friends and feel like I'm still staying in touch even though I live a state away now.
I just miss you. I just miss you. We were such a constellation, right? No, you'd agree. Made a reputation for ourselves at age 18. We had the devil on our shoulders telling us what we should do. I wonder if you think about me too. I can hear the raindrops falling. It's cold outside, and I kind of feel like calling, but it's too late now. I just miss you. I just miss you. Oh, I miss you.
After a lot of chopping and peeling, I have all of those apples and parsnips in there. So I'm also going to add in 1 medium yellow onion, as well as 2 cloves of garlic into this bowl. And then you're going to take all of the items that you've chopped with the garlic and add it with some olive oil onto a sheet pan to roast in the oven. Don't forget to toss a little bit of salt on it as well, and a teaspoon of thyme and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. So this should roast in the oven at 400 degrees for about half an hour. Turn it a couple of times throughout and you'll have nice roasted vegetables. Once they're done, let them cool just a little bit and get out either an immersion blender, or you can transfer them into a blender like my Vitamix. This does a great job with heartier vegetables, but they are nice and soft after roasting in the oven. So I'm adding them in batches along with my wet ingredients to make sure it blends nicely. So you're gonna need in total 4 cups of chicken broth, or you could replace it with vegetable broth if you are vegan or vegetarian. This soup doesn't have any meat in it, so you could easily opt for vegetable broth. And I'm also adding in total 1 cup of unsweetened almond milk.
I regret what I said, didn't mean it. Yeah, believe me, I guess I take it back. There's a party downtown, someone said that you're coming by. I know that summer was a big mistake.
Once that's all blended, you can add in a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and you're also going to need 1 tablespoon of maple syrup to add a little bit of extra sweetness. And then transfer the whole thing to a large pot and heat up your soup, and you're good to go. You can always add in more milk if you want it creamier, or if you'd like to thin it out a little bit, you could add some more broth. I thought this soup would pair nicely with a grilled cheese. So I tried to find a fall-inspired grilled cheese. So I'm making this onion and apple grilled cheese, which really turned out great. Even though, again, my husband Jim didn't love the apple and parsnip soup, he was a fan of the grilled cheese. And it's kind of a unique one. I wouldn't even call it a grilled cheese. It's more of a grilled sandwich because it's such a twist on a grilled cheese. I'm just chopping up 2 yellow onions nice and thin so I can start to roast them. I added some butter into my pan, 3/4 of a cup apple cider. I'm also adding salt and pepper, of course, and slowly roasting that stuff down. You'll also want to add in a tablespoon of fresh thyme and a tablespoon of chopped sage leaves and some crushed red pepper. So I'm adding that in as it starts to reduce and really turn into these beautiful caramelized onions. I took those off the stove, then I started to prepare my prosciutto. This is optional. You don't have to put prosciutto in here. Again, if you're vegetarian, you don't have to add this. If you're vegan, this probably isn't the recipe for you because there's a lot of cheese coming. But we opted for the prosciutto, so I'm crisping that up on both sides and then going to pull that off and prep my sandwiches. These sandwiches just need a drizzle of olive oil on both sides of the bread, and then you can start layering them. So first I'm throwing down the prosciutto and then my caramelized onions, followed by a mixture of shredded fontina cheese and Gouda cheese. Let me tell you, was that an awesome mixture. Finally, I'm topping it off with thin slices of Honeycrisp apple and then going to cook that up on the skillet.
We've been here before. Tell me again, just tell me again, and I'll make it right. Don't go through that door.
Now, this is a recipe that I will say is not necessarily a fall meal prep. You can't really freeze these or anything like that, but you can prep sandwiches ahead of time. The apple and parsnip soup would be a great one to freeze in advance, and then you could just whip up some grilled cheese alongside it or another sandwich or anything like that. But I couldn't help myself with this grilled cheese.
Something isn't right. Tell me again what I'm missing.
Last but not least, because I really do like this recipe, this is a take on a chicken pot pie, and it's not necessarily a traditional chicken pot pie in the sense that it's baked in a crust. but it has all of those classic chicken pot pie flavors. I grabbed a large Dutch oven and added some extra virgin olive oil on the bottom of it, followed by 8 ounces of mushrooms, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of dried thyme, half a teaspoon of dried sage, a quarter teaspoon of pepper, followed by 3 stalks of celery chopped up nice and small. You really want everything to look like it's starting to brown. Continue to mix it up, and then once it looks like everything's nice and cooked, you can add in a quarter of a cup of flour. Mix that together, and then the base of the soup is almond milk, so add in 2 full cups of unsweetened almond milk. You'll also need 1 14.5 ounce can of low sodium chicken broth. It helps if you add the almond milk slowly so it doesn't get too lumpy. So add a little bit at a time and mix it up, and then continue to add more. Followed by about 2 cups of Yukon potatoes. Cover the pot almost fully and let it simmer for about 10 minutes before you add in your frozen mixed vegetables. Finally, you just continue to let that soup warm up until it's nice and thick, probably about 15 minutes, and then you can add in shredded chicken. The soup is pretty thick because it is kind of a pot pie type soup, and you can add in more almond milk if you want to thin it out a bit. I opted to stick all of this into my super cubes to freeze it into individual portions for later. This is great in the freezer. It should last 3 months. And if you put it in the refrigerator, it should last about 4 or so days. Whenever you're ready to heat it up, I would add some croutons on top, and then it really gets that pot pie type feel to it because it has that bread.
Here we are in the car. Let me see who you are, who you really are.
Thanks for sticking with me and watching today's video. I hope you give some of these recipes a try. Let me know in the comments below if you plan to try them. If you do try them, tag me on Instagram. If you try them and want to take a photo and share with me, I would love to see. So I'm excited that I have a few things prepped for the week ahead, but also for my freezer stash. That'll be very helpful, especially when I'm postpartum here in the not too distant future. If you liked today's video, I'd appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. And until next time, I will see you guys later.